I forgot to film this part, but the bread was tossed in oil and salt and crushed rosemary and toasted in the oven for about 10 minutes. And then it turned out like this. And so I topped the soup with the croutons and then some shredded Gouda. And because I don't think this will be enough for the stuff that I'm freezing, I'm going to go ahead and make another tray, and then I will freeze all of these so that they can go with the frozen soups when I reheat them. But yeah, I just popped this in the oven for probably 5 minutes. And so it is the soup, the croutons, and the cheese. And yeah, I hope that it is as good as it looks. I have not done a single shred of knitting today. I have spent all day cooking. I chopped up a whole bunch of onions for caramelization, and I caramelized what would be like the equivalent of like 5 medium to large onions, because we had one of them was pretty large and a couple of them were a little bit smaller, but like 5 medium onions. And so I used a fifth of that for the soup that I made, and then I froze the rest of it. Maybe it was 6 onions. I think I had portioned it out into 6s. I don't know. Anyways, so I froze a bunch of them because caramelized onions take like an hour and a half to fully, truly caramelize. And I don't really have the time to do that most of the time. So, they caramelize better in like mass portions because they kind of insulate each other to prevent from like burning. Anyways, so I caramelized a huge batch of onions. Most of them were kind of dirty. If I put in footage, you would have noticed that maybe some of them were a bit dirty. I got most of those onions as extra, like one of the perks of working where I work is in the fall when like all of the produce is being harvested in the gardens out back. They bring in boxes of produce and employees can take some stuff home. And I didn't really fully intend to bring home like 4 or 5 onions, but nobody else was taking them. And I was like, these are gonna start going bad if somebody doesn't take them. So I took them home, and I also brought home a bunch of lemons and some little key limes that I'm not totally sure how I'm going to deal with yet. But the lemons I think I'm going to just juice and then freeze. I might slice them and dehydrate them, actually. I'm not sure how I'm dealing with the lemons, but I dealt with all of the onions today, including a couple that we'd just had on our counter, some shallots, some like spring onions, green onions, and just kind of, I batched everything. So I froze the green onions kind of as is. I did dice up some of the red onions, and yeah, so everything is just kind of dealt with now. Everything's frozen, and there is a little container of sliced green onion, the white parts, in my refrigerator for us to use over the next week. But yeah, I did all of that, and then I made garlic soup. This was called like a 40 garlic soup or something like that, 40 clove. What is it? Oh, I think I closed the tab on my computer, but golden garlic soup, Czech inspired garlic soup. So I think that I will have included some amount of footage of that, but it calls for 2 heads of garlic. I put in 4 because, yeah, 2 is not enough. 1 large potato, and it had a video that I had watched accompanying this recipe, and it was a pretty large potato, so I included 6 really small potatoes, and then a small yellow onion that it recommends caramelizing for about 5 minutes or longer if you have time. So obviously I just included the longer caramelized onions because they were going to be tastier. A bunch of salt, pepper, black pepper, turmeric, white wine to kind of deglaze the pot, 4 cups of chicken broth plus 2 cups of water. a bay leaf, some bread that you make like croutons, and then like grated cheese. And I'll put the link to this recipe down below so that you can follow along and make it yourself. But it's supposed to serve 4. I ended up being able to portion it out into 5, 1 for eating right away, and then 4 servings into my super cubes, which I can just pop out and put in my little like individual serving crock thing, and let defrost one at a time, and then I can heat them the same way. Basically, I can just heat them in the microwave or in the oven and put the croutons and cheese on top. But yeah, so lots of soup left over. I ate one of the servings. It was so good. So tasty. Garlic, once it is like cooked in this way, just like mellows out into the sweetest, most tasty. It's such a good flavor. Very good. I'm excited to eat the rest of that. I had a little bit of leftover dill pickle soup for lunch, and I might have included that, where I was using half-size servings of the soup and then putting rice in with it so that it's basically just a rice dish. Very good. I think that was my last of the half-size servings of those, though, so next time I have the pickle soup, it will be like a full-sized soup, so it won't be something that there will be space to put rice in unless I cut them in half. I'm not sure. I've never cut like a frozen brick of soup before, but maybe I could do that because I really like it with the rice. It's very good with the rice. We also freeze our rice leftovers every weekend or so, maybe every 2 weeks. We will make a big pot of rice for lunch, eat the rice for lunch, and then freeze the rest in half-cup portions. And I really like using the super cubes. I'm not like an affiliate or anything for those, but I can probably see if there's a link that I can put below. Maybe there's like a share or referral type one, but I'm not like an official affiliate. So yeah, long day. I am going to probably knit on, if I can unbury from my mess. Oh, I thought I threw away all my candy wrappers. This is a disaster, but it's usually not trash. But I wanted to show you the hats. All of them are now complete, and yeah, apparently the bottom of my mug was damp, and I don't want my desk to be damp, so okay. Hats. So this was the first one. I might have shown this finished on the most recent podcast episode, which, by the way, I haven't recorded the podcast episode that was supposed to go up yesterday. I'm not sure how I'm going to handle that. I might do it this coming Thursday and just have it be a week late and have like 3 weeks from episode 4 to episode 5 and then 3 weeks from episode 5 to episode 6. Normally they're 2 weeks apart, but I feel like because I am doing the vlogs, it might be a little bit unnecessary. But I do still want to have another one this month at least. So I think that episode 5 will be next weekend. Anyways, so I think I already showed this one. This one was the Vibe Check colorway, and this was the only one that I did on with the needles recommended in the pattern. So the pattern recommends US 10.5, which is a 6.5 millimeter needle. This is the only one I did with that. And while when I tried it on, it fit just fine. It was a little bit tighter than I would personally like for myself. So this will be gifted to my youngest kiddo. So that's the first one. And then the second one, which is the one that you would have seen me wear out earlier this week when I took a walk. This one is with the 11th hour colorway. And this is when I had started knitting them out of 7 millimeter, which is like a US 10.75. It's not a super common needle size, but that one's the 11th hour colorway. And the rest of them, I knit the rest of them out of the 7 millimeter needles. So anyways, that's hat number 2. And then hat number 3 is the Valley Girl colorway that looks so glowy on screen. That's a little bit better. It's blue. I swear that it's blue with like purple, but for some reason that blue is like super like ultraviolet. I don't know. Very, very pretty. This one will be gifted to one of my friends locally here. And then this is the scrappy one. I will guess that I'll show you kind of how I did. I haven't woven in all of the ends. I did weave in some of the ends. So I did vibe check almost until it ran out. Did I already cut off the rest? I did. It was like almost nothing left. Here, this much left. So I did vibe check until about halfway. So like this portion of it gets covered by the fold up brim. And so about halfway through that is when I switched to the next color, because I didn't want to switch too early and have all of the next color basically be hidden. So yeah, so then I switched to the Valley Girl colorway. Again, it's so extremely fluorescent looking on screen. And then last I switched to the 11th hour color. And so it's a very, I don't know, super pretty multicolored scrappy hat. I'm very happy with how that turned out. I feel like this is like a weird hyper focus. Now that I'm aware that it feels like a weird hyper focus, I kind of am stressed out about that. But I want to make more of them. And oh, let me go get I got some yarn from my massage therapist, as I probably mentioned in a couple of episodes ago, or vlogs ago, whatever. That is basically a similar weight yarn. So I'm going to go grab it and I want to show you my idea. Okay, so I got 8 skeins of this Bernat Softy Chunky, which is an acrylic yarn, I think. I'm sure that it will say on here. Yes, it's 100% acrylic. So it's not that it would go super well with this because this is wool, but it is a super wash wool. And my thought process was to tell me if this is silly. Tell me if you wouldn't dare like combine fibers like this. I normally wouldn't. But I have 8 skeins of this, and it is 108 yards per 100 grams. So it's roughly the same like grist as this yarn, which is around 100 yards to like 96 grams or so. And I thought it would be cute to basically cast on with the, let me grab one of these that's not going to super blow out the camera. I thought it would be fun to like cast on with the plump and maybe do like 1 or 2 rows, maybe just the cast on, I don't know. So like this much from here, just a little, maybe, and then do the rest in the gray so that like you get like this like thin stripe across the top of the fold up area. Is that ridiculous? Would you just like fully, absolutely never combine wool with acrylic? I don't know. I think it would be fun though. And I have enough of the acrylic to probably do like 5 or 6 of the hats. And I have plenty of this stuff left over to do the like little edging stripe for 5 or 6 of them. I don't know. I could also, 8 skeins of this is enough to do something else with for sure. And I'm sure that I could ultimately find something to do with the leftovers here, but it's not a ton. It's maybe like 30 or 40 yards. And so I just don't know what to do with like 30 or 40 yards of a sort of bulky yarn, because I don't use bulky that often. And I don't really want to get like if I got 2 more skeins of the plump, I would probably have exactly enough to make 1 hat out of the 2 skeins, and then the leftovers plus this would probably be almost exactly 1 more hat. But I don't really want to buy 2 more skeins of plump. They're like $30 some each, like $32 each. Each of these hats is like $50 hats in terms of like the actual yarn used, like 55 or so, plus the amount of knitting. So like obviously labor matters, cost of labor matters. I'm not selling these, but like the cost of materials in each of these is like $55. So yeah. Anyway, I don't know. Should I get 2 more skeins of plump? I could. I just don't know that I want to, especially when I have this other bulky yarn that I still am not sure what I'm going to do with it. If I had a really good use for these, I mean, I could just make the hats out of these without combining the 2 yarns, but I have 8 of these, so I guess it would be really nice to have something I could use them all with. I wonder how much it would need to make like a blanket. I feel like you couldn't get a very big blanket out of only 800 yards of, okay, like 880 yards of a chunky weight. I don't know. Any ideas? What would you do if you had 8 of these? It's nice. It's not a terrible acrylic. It is a pretty soft acrylic. So, I don't know. What would you do? Anyway, I am going to probably get some knitting done tonight. And, we should open up. I'm gonna grab Advent stuff. We'll open up Advent before I sign off for the night. I really have to hurry because I just realized that it's after 6. And, okay, that's not today. This is today. And I have so much footage from earlier that it's like 2.5 hours worth of cooking footage that is mostly not going to be used because I'm only going to put in a small time lapse of parts of the cooking. But that's okay. Today is the 14th. Let me open the document. Ooh, today's is from Washington. That's where I live. Oh, that's pretty. Oh my gosh, that's so pretty. This one's from Coven Collective, and it's called Fade. Oh, that's so gorgeous. Oh my gosh, that's so pretty. This is so extremely vibrant and like fully, like, not, I don't know. Can I use this in? I don't think I can. I'm really loving this, but I have a feeling that these blankets are so different, and I'm excited to kind of put together the color palettes of the second one, like to like arrange them in whatever order. I'm very excited to do that. At this point, though, I might be fully caught up to where I thought I had enough of my own scraps to add to the ones from the Advent for my first blanket. So I'm going to have to dig through my scraps and like lay out my gradient again. So that seems like that might be a tomorrow thing, pulling out the whole gradient and then separating everything out and assigning colors. And I need to start crocheting squares again for it. Anyways, I'm in for a long night of editing, I think, for this video. So thanks for hanging out with me today. See you tomorrow.